All right, it's game number 39 for the Boston Celtics as they take on the best offensive team in the Houston Rockets at TD Garden. Welcome into the Celtics pregame report. I'm your host, Josue Pavone. I'm joined by SB Nation's Jeremy Brener, who's here to preview this marquee matchup between the Celtics and the Rockets. What's going on, Jeremy? Welcome to the pregame report.
Thanks, Josue. I appreciate it.
The Rockets held the best record in the NBA not too long ago, but their current three-game skid changed that when they dropped games against the Lakers, Clippers, and most recently, their Christmas matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder. What's the reason for Houston's recent struggles?
The big difference between this year and last year's team for Houston is the defense. And that's because you bring in Chris Paul, you bring in PJ Tucker, you bring in Luke Mute, and that is really been the difference on the defensive end. However, the last 6 games, the Rockets have been 29th in defense, and that is because Luke Mute has missed the last 6 games. That's a very underrated piece. I want to say he was one of the steals in free agency this year. We got him on a bets minimum, and he's missed the last 6 games for us, and we've gone 3-3. I mean, the losses were clear, but even those wins, that was the main struggle. The Rockets won those barely, and it was defensive struggles all through those games as well. So this stretch that we've hit here, this injury stretch, Luke Mute has been one of the key injuries for the Rockets, and it's really shown in their play recently.
Speaking of players like that, I feel like Clint Capela has certainly been a huge piece for the Rockets this season. Talk about what he means to this club, especially on the defensive side of things.
Clint Capela is the X factor, and I think the Rockets have built their roster to play the Warriors, and that is the one piece that you can say, the Rockets have a better center than the Warriors do. That's their clear edge. And Clint Capela, he's going to take this league by storm someday, I guarantee it. He's only 23, and, he's averaging pretty much a triple-double, if not already a triple-double at this point in the season. And he opens up the offense so much because with the Rockets, you have James or you have Chris Paul bringing up the ball. They're asking for Clint to to set the high screen, and you're either going pick and roll with the lob to Capela, or you're creating that space for the outside shooters with Eric Gordon, Trevor Ariza, Ryan Anderson, all those guys, PJ Tucker as well. But without Clint, if you take Clint out the lineup, you have Nene, but Nene doesn't do as well of a job with creating all that space. So that puts the Rockets at a bit of a disadvantage. It doesn't allow the offense to be as multidimensional as it can be. It really stunts its growth and its potential if Clint's not in the lineup. And with his, new recent eye injury that he sustained in Monday's loss, the Celtics should be lucky. That they don't have to face Clint this time.
Many wondered if James Harden and Chris Paul, 2 ball-dominant guards, could coexist with each other. And I think the answer to that question is still a bit of a foregone conclusion, considering the fact that Paul's only played 16 games this year, but a vast majority of those 16 games, of course, have been wins, much like the rest of the entire season for the Houston Rockets. So it's a small sample size. However, the Rockets are currently tied with the Warriors with the fewest losses in the league. What's your take on those 2 players playing alongside each other in the backcourt? And should the Rockets be concerned about Paul's health come playoff time?
Rockets are 14-1 with Chris Paul and James Harden on the floor. It's that together. So I definitely am not concerned. The way I see it is this: the Rockets, with the Rockets composed squad, their squad in their heads, completely healthy. Their 9-man rotation healthy. They contend to be the best team in the league. On a good night, they can beat any squad in the NBA hands down. However, the problem is they're not healthy right now, and of course that's a lingering thought. Let's get them healthy for the playoffs, and if you're not healthy in the playoffs, then you're kind of screwed. But ultimately, injuries happen at random. You really never know exactly when they're going to happen. You can't prevent them from happening, really. I mean, you can rest players, but at the end of the day, these players are here to play as many games as they possibly can. And yes, being healthy for the playoffs is important, but being healthy for the regular season is important too. And I think teams forget about that sometimes. It's important to be able to get those guys together so that come playoff time, your chemistry is well built. And I'm sure the Rockets aren't done building this team. I'm sure with the recent struggles, they'll look to address some things, like getting some more defensive wings in there. And I feel like it's important for the team to be healthy the whole way through. Yes, Chris Paul, his health is probably the most important out of all the people that are out right now, but I'm not just worried about Chris Paul, I'm worried about everybody. And it's, yes, Chris has been out for a while, but if every single person, because there's so few of them, every single person's health is so important to how this team functions. If you take out Ryan Anderson, the team's not the same. If you take out Chris Paul, the team's not the same. Take out Capela, the team's not the same. If you take out any of those guys, the team's not the same. So I'm worried about Chris Paul's health, but not as more or less than anybody else in the squad.
This edition of the Celtics pregame report is brought to you by DraftKings.com. Head to DraftKings.com and use the promo code CLNS for a free sign up with your first deposit and a shot at a share of $10,000 in total prizes. Head over to DraftKings.com and use the promo code CLNS and get yourself paid. Jeremy, the Rockets average 115 points a night. They lead the league in scoring and average 16 made three-pointers a night, which also leads the NBA. James Harden is a top MVP candidate, and Houston has looked phenomenal. If there was a season for the Rockets to knock off the Warriors, this would definitely be the one. What's it going to take, however, tonight for them, for the Celtics to knock off such a offensive juggernaut in the Houston Rockets?
The Celtics got to make their threes like they did last night against Charlotte. They had a crazy night, especially in the first half from 3-point land. They got to do the same tonight, and it's about matching. It's about matching Houston at this point. Houston has not been very good defensively, and Boston needs to take advantage of that. What I like for Boston here is they have so many guys that are not only healthy, but they go real deep in the roster, and they have so many guys that can beat you so many different ways. And I feel like if the team is able to get as many different guys involved tonight, and especially from the three-point arc, I definitely think that Boston's got a shot in this one for sure.
All right, well, prediction time. Who wins?
I'm a Houston guy. I got to take Houston. But, if Boston wins, I won't be surprised.
All right, you heard it here. That's Jeremy Brener of SB Nation. You can follow him on Twitter at Jeremy Brener. That's BRENER at Jeremy Brener. And, of course, check out his stuff on thedreamshake.com. That's thedreamshake.com. You can check out all of his content on the Houston Rockets. Hey, Jeremy, this was fun, man. We'll get you on here again at some point later in the regular season. I appreciate you stopping by.
I appreciate it, Joseph. Thank you very much.
Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Celtics pregame report. Make sure you tune into the Garden Report. You can find us at every single Celtics home game for full-length interviews, post-game interviews from the locker room and from the press table, where you can hear what Brad Stevens has to say directly after the game. And, of course, Mike D'Antoni for the Houston Rockets. Weekday shows air on the Celtics Newsfeed channel, on iTunes, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media mobile app. For today's Boston Celtics pregame report with Joseph Pavone, this is Joseph Pavone signing off.